Hey everybody, thank you for joining our Client Summit. I'm Noah Kelsch and I'm presenting Flipping the Coin, Debt Consolidation and Building Wealth using the Perpetual Wealth Strategy. Just a little bit about myself. I've been on both sides of the coin. I've been in heavy debt and we've also been out of debt and doing quite well. And so I get rather passionate about this subject specifically. I'm going to show you some tools that I've used through the years to change our situation, and it's been an incredible journey. And so I'm excited to share. This with you today. Got a lot to cover today, and we're going to be looking at a properly structured whole life insurance policy. We're going to be looking at some budgeting tools. We're going to be talking about why it matters to everybody, and then we're going to look at what's coined a debt snowball as well. So looking at getting out of debt in conjunction with actually protecting your family with the death benefit and saving some money as well. So let's dive in. We've got a lot to cover, and I'm really excited to go here. First of all, there's, we've all heard the cliche, there's two sides to the coin. And it can be applied to a lot of different things. I'm going to be focusing on talking about having money work for us versus working for money. So, one of my favorite books, Richest Man in Babylon, it's a pretty simple story, pretty fun story to read, and there's a couple of key things in there that I really like. A couple of key phrases. One of them, a part of all I earn is mine to keep. This is, I really like that, because too much of the time we get behind the eight ball, we get into debt. And then it feels like we're just working to pay somebody else, and so understanding a part of all I earn is mine to keep, and really feeling it. I think a lot of the two sides of the coin, if you will, it starts in our mindset and what we believe and what we feel to be true, and then we go from there and act on it. So when I read this, when I say this, a part of all I earn is mine to keep. It gives me a sense of ownership and a sense of worth about what I'm doing. Next one, act like a free man and succeed like one. Again, it starts with a mindset. It starts with something as simple as a mindset, and you build from there. Because you can do a lot of things, but if you don't believe in yourself, first of all, and you don't believe it's possible to change your situation, it's probably not going to happen. And so own it, believe it, feel it. And then be proactive about it. Another one, I love this one. Gold is reserved for those who know its laws and abide by them. And that's what I'm going to be talking about today. That's what I'm going to be focusing on. Not necessarily gold, but money in general. Now, you read the book and you'll understand the context of where he's coming from. But money in general, it doesn't say it's reserved for those who hoard it or anything like that. It's reserved for those who know its laws and abide by them. And so let's dive in. Again, it just gets me ginned up. So first of all, if you're just working to pay somebody else, it can feel so overwhelming. It can feel like you're just like a servant. You don't have any freedom. It feels like bondage almost. And again, I know this because I've been there, and it's painful. So let's look at a couple of things here. I'm going to use. I'm going to have our friend Elmo here help me out. Now, there's a reason that America is in a massive debt crisis right now. It's designed that way. It's designed, and we're taught and we're trained about debt and about financing. We're not taught about saving. We're not taught about holding off for that new toy until we have the money to buy it. And I'm talking toy. I'm talking boats or the new shiny car, or whatever the case may be. It's always, hey, let's go get a loan for it, and it isn't. It makes it seem a lot smaller that way, at least the debt portion, because we don't think of it as hey, here's the total cost of this vehicle. Vehicle's $45,000. We don't look at that so much, and the salespeople are trained to talk to us in a way that they say, oh no, it's this is simply $600 a month. Don't focus on that. It's this is very affordable, $600 a month. Boats, I mean, you name it. It's all the same thing, and we're taught from a very young age and all the way up to go get what you want, and then basically figure out a way to afford it or finance it, if you will. And it's designed that way a very long time ago, and it supports the banks that are doing it, okay, and really, and the government gets involved as well, because they have motivation to do it as well, and so it's taught in our school system. It's taught in it's by the lobbyists and things like that. It's by design that we're in debt like we are, and if it wasn't that way, America wouldn't be in debt. Our government wouldn't be in debt. So. You see here, now let me back up a little bit. Debt isn't necessarily always a bad thing, but you get to use it wisely. Otherwise it can really bite you. Debt gives an individual or a country the ability to expand, to grow, to flourish, and however, the flip side of that is, if it's not done and not kept in check and not paid back, then it can get us in trouble. You can see here U.S. annual per capita income versus the national debt per capita, and like I said, Elmo can't make it any more obvious. We're in trouble. We're in trouble as a nation. We're in trouble as individuals. This here, and I just pulled some of these off. I just grabbed some pictures here. What if a typical family spent like the federal government? This is what it would look like. The median family income in the U.S., if it was $5,200, and they spent this stack of cash right here, $6,400 a year, then they would be accumulating debt at $12,000 a year. And it says, and this is the key factor right here, despite already being $312,000 in debt. So yeah, the government has, our government has a serious problem, but it is happening. Families are doing this, and it can be ruinous. So let's take a look at some of these sad statistics here. It says average credit card debt is not a single number. That's correct. Instead, you will get many different answers depending on how you measure it, and basically how you ask the question. So look at some of this stuff, and again, I'm going to talk about balancing a monthly budget as well. Look at this though. $1,128 per card that does not carry a balance. This amount is charged but paid off monthly. Well, look at this. Almost $7,500 per card that carries a balance. There's a stark difference. And again, there's a reason why. And plastic, using the credit card, using plastic, it's so much simpler than paying cash, so much more convenient than paying cash. But it also doesn't trigger the same neurons in our brain that giving up physical cash does. And so sometimes it's better to pay cash. Okay, and again, we'll take a look at more of this. Okay, let's look at something else. Let's look at something else here. Talking about the U.S. debt. USDebtClock.org. This shows you, and it's really kind of hard to fathom these numbers. The debt here, U.S. national debt, just under $20 trillion. You look at some of this stuff, it's just, it's hard to fathom some of these numbers. But it's a good reminder. It gives you some perspective of what's truly happening. And as Americans, we're putting the people in positions to do this to us. It's up to us to change that. Let me jump off of that here. Okay. So let's see here. Okay. Like I mentioned before, debt can feel very heavy. It can feel like a ball and chain. It can feel, it can feel so suffocating, and unfortunately, there's too little emphasis on our school system even that talks about how to balance a budget, how to read a cash flow statement, anything like that. Those are tools that would really be useful to everybody, and so it's up to us to go find it ourselves. And there's actually a lot of tools out there if you know where to look. I'm gonna share some of that in just a minute here. So the question is, how much will it save me? Conservative averages here. Spent on debt service. This is an average. $6,700 per year, and that's that's an average. That's an average of 9% of gross income. Okay, and that equates to close to 12% net, assuming a 25% tax bracket. And I say conservative because I've heard as much as 30%, but so to debt service throughout the lifetime. This $6,700, that may or may not include mortgage interest as well, and so that might be where that big jump is. That big jump is. So I'm just gonna take this number and we're gonna look at this and use this for our numbers. Look at this. This is another one. The average. These are averages. The average credit card debt, okay, is $15,675. That's the average. That's the average. It's mind-boggling. And then of course mortgage debt, average total debt. So total debt is $90,000 to $132,000, and I know that's a pretty broad range for averages, but that's a few different sources there. So I'm giving kind of a spread. Anyway, so let's do this. Let's break this ball and chain and do something about it. Let's make a change. Let's get out from under this heavy load that is so painful to be under. I'm going to show you now a simple Excel spreadsheet. And this is just a balance sheet that I used for years. It's changed. And by the way, this is going to be an attachment I'm going to send out, you can click on. I'm going to have it available. It's just it's a simple Excel spreadsheet. You can go in and change any fields to, you know, unless you've got something already. You can change any of this stuff. I don't recommend you change anything that's shaded out, but you're certainly welcome to do that. The reason they're shaded is because they have a formula in them. But this is a typical monthly income and expense, just a personal income and expense. The reason this is so paramount, so important, is because unless you have some idea of where your money is going, how do you make any changes? So that's got to be one of the first things. So you can see here I've got it listed out in several different categories, and like I said, this I used this for, I think we've been using it for about 15 years now, and I've just modified it and made changes as we go along. You can see here those set monthly bills and what that's for, and of course it all adds together and spits out over here. If we change anything here, we got miscellaneous here. We have a birthday in there, and the amount that we spend on birthdays, so that spits over here into miscellaneous. Gas. We got a couple of different cars, dad's car, mom's car, so and so. The reason I say dad and mom's is because we've got some of the kids driving too. So, and one of them has a car. Anyway, I didn't put that in here. You can see here, because our son that's driving is paying for his own gas. But anyway, you see here the gas in here right there. And then we've got medical. We've got a couple of doctor bills in there, so they're in there as well. Just typical expenses. And then we've got check one, check two. Of course, if your salary, or if your commission, or get paid monthly, or in a different mode, then twice a month, then you can adjust that and do what you want with it. Anyway, these total up. Now you'll notice I said anything that's shaded out has a formula in it. You'll notice that food and personal cash do not have a formula. We pull these things out in cash, and for a very good reason. We do not use the card for these things. First of all, the statistics, we'll get to the statistics. Well, actually, we'll take a look at it right now. Where are you at here? You are more apt to spend on a credit card than you are paying cash. And if you're like me, if you go into the store hungry, your grocery basket ends up being fuller, more full when you walk out than if you walk into the store on a full stomach. You probably walk out with what you need. And so combine being hungry with using a credit card, and boom, we've, at least personally, we've way overspent our food budget. And so, and there's lots of information to back this up. Look at this. Look at these things right here. People spend 12 to 18% more when using credit card instead of cash. And this is interesting. McDonald's reports this average ticket is $7 when people use credit card versus $4.50 when using cash. So these things, I mean, right there, that's $7 when using credit card versus $4.50 when using cash. That's a lot more than 12 to 18%. Then this study here, let's see. Offered the opportunity to purchase tickets to an actual professional basketball game that had just sold out. These tickets were highly desirable. Participants were told either they would have to pay in cash or that they would have to pay by credit card. So they weren't given a choice. Some of the study was told you have to pay for these in cash. Some of them were told you have to pay for this in credit card. Those who were told that they would have to pay by credit card were willing to pay more than twice as much on average as those who were told that they would have to pay by cash. So again, they're, based on the studies, 12 to 18%. That's kind of conservative. It looks like, and so again, you combine that with with going into the store hungry, chances are the food budget can get blown in one, one run to the store rather than a couple of them. I have personal cash in here, and me and my wife have been taking personal cash for a lot of years. What we found when we started utilizing this, we didn't have personal cash coming to ourselves. And we found that to be a problem because, again, going back to not seeing a light at the end of the tunnel, we were putting all of our excess cash into the family fund and into savings. And what we found was that after so long of doing that, we started resenting it a little bit. And then, if there was a slip up and we dipped into that savings, it was more of a, I'm angry, and so I'm going to go angry spend, if you will, or whatever the case may be. We found that we would, when we would attack it, it would almost attack it because we resented it, and so and then we would end up spending a lot more than if we had just taken a little bit every single month or every single paycheck and had personal cash. Now the way we do it, she doesn't check with me on where she spends her cash, her personal cash, and I don't check with her where I spend my personal cash. If I want to take us out to dinner, or if I want to buy a new flashlight, because flashlights are cool. They click and they light up. Anyway. And if she wants to get her nails done, she goes and gets her nails done, and that's perfectly fine. And we use our personal cash to do that, and we feel good about it. And that's we see the actual physical money, and that there's a sense of feeling good when we have that money, and then when we get to spend it on whatever we want, and we know that it's not taking away from the family funds. So again, we're gonna keep looking at this. So we got all these set monthly bills. We've got it totaled out here. And then the profit and loss. This just takes the total income, subtracts out the total expenses, and then we have our profit and loss. Then we drop down, and this is where it starts getting really exciting. The assets and liabilities here. Of course, we have our emergency fund set aside there, and you can see here $2,500 in cash. Plus PM. We carry a little bit of precious metals, plus CV, cash value. And this is again where that perpetual wealth strategy or that life insurance policy is coming into play. So this is how we carry our emergency fund. We have it split up. I don't want to have too much in cash under the mattress, for obvious reasons. Besides the fact that it loses money through depreciation or through inflation. And we've got the note on the house, and we keep a consistent note on that. Drop down here to assets here, personal loans. So I'm not going to get into all this stuff, but savings this month. So you see our savings here. We've got a savings, and then we've got a savings this month. So. And this is something that I'm going to visit every single month. So I look at here and I say, okay, profit and loss. I have a profit of $106. Let's say, let's say our miscellaneous expenses, rather than 150, let's say they were 500 this month for whatever crazy reason. Then you see a negative here, negative 243, and then we'd actually have to pull out of savings to take care of that. So I'm going to put that back to 150. Anyway, we had some unexpected doctor bills this month, and so where our savings might have been closer to about 300 or 350 for that month, now it's only $100. But we save $100 that month. Again, we've got everything listed out here, so we know exactly where we're at all the time. And then we've got some other things here available in cash value, precious metals, some stocks, checking, whatever the case may be. Anyway, so again, I'm going to make this available. Go ahead and modify it however you want to, and make it your own, and utilize it. The fun thing is once once you have a good understanding of where you're at or what you've been trending, first of all, you can see frivolous expenses and how much money you're losing that way. Second of all, once you can see where your expenses are going, then you can start to pre-allocate. So you can start looking, rather than doing a look back for the month, you can actually start to anticipate, and then you get your checks, or you can say, hey, look, I'm going to average $4,000 a month here, so I know that my expenses are going to be pretty close to this much, and my gas is going to be about this much. My miscellaneous, it's going to be close to this. So you start to be able to anticipate things, and then the miscellaneous, like Tom's birthday, that's something that should have been saved for. We knew it was coming for a whole year, right? So you start being able to anticipate that stuff. Christmas isn't a surprise. It comes on to December 25th every single year. So you get a track record here. Of course, here, life insurance savings. That's always a good thing. Anyway, we'll make that available. Okay. Also, another one, and I have not used it, but I've heard a lot of people who have. It is .mint.com. And that's just one of them. Like I said, I've heard a few reliable sources that say that's a really good one that they use. But there's lots of them out there, and a lot of them actually attach to your credit card statements, attached to your bank accounts, so that you get a really comprehensive view of that stuff. Okay, I got to keep moving on here. We've got a lot to cover still. All right. So now let's talk about the perpetual wealth strategy. First of all, it's a life insurance policy. The perpetual wealth strategy is a properly structured whole life insurance policy, and I'm not going to get into too much detail about this because I'm focusing on something else here. For our clients, you guys know how this stuff works, and you know how awesome it is. For those guests that are viewing this, or maybe you're considering, or you've maybe heard a little bit about this. This is one of the neatest things since sliced bread. I can't even, to talk about all the ways that this is awesome. It's beyond the scope of this meeting. So, but feel free to give us a call, or talk to a friend or somebody who owns these policies. They're incredible. And we look forward to assisting you as well and getting into one. Anyway, so I'm going to take. Do you remember this number? Remember this number right here, 6,700. That was the average debt service. So we're gonna actually use that number and use it for our purposes here today. So I've taken a 25-year-old male. That's about the time that you start getting into, about the time that a lot of people start getting into heavy debt. You may have your first car, not your first car, your first house, maybe multiple cars, or maybe a couple cars, maybe some credit card debt. Whatever the case, I'm just taking a 25-year-old here for our purposes. Doesn't really matter because we're not necessarily focused on the individual's age so much as the cash value. And the cash value is going to grow. Doesn't matter if you're 25, 35, 55, whatever the case may be. The cash value is what we're going to be focusing on here. So I just took a simple base policy, about $500,000 premium here, $3,500, and then put this an additional $3,200 to paid up additions. So you can see I'm being very conservative on the way we're even funding this. I'm not even doing 50% of the paid up additions here, okay? And there's a reason for that. I want to illustrate a very doable situation. You don't even have to put more than 50% into a paid up addition to have this vehicle be effective. and I want to show you what that looks like. In this case, I thought, oh heck, this 25 years old, they might be getting ready to start a family, and so we want to have a decent death benefit. So $500,000 in death benefit. They're just starting their career, just starting their family, in good health, preferred again, but it really doesn't matter. So cash value here, we've got $3,000 in the first year, $6,000, then $10,000, $17,000, $24,000, and so on. And then our death benefit, of course, continues to grow. So why do I care? Well, first of all, you have the ability to put into this policy and utilize this as a savings vehicle, as a retirement supplement, and of course to always protect your family. First and foremost, this is a life insurance policy. Albeit it's structured a little bit different, and again, our clients know this stuff. We've gone over this stuff. For those who are considering becoming a client, your wealth strategist will go over this with you in depth. But you have coverage here that continues to grow while you're doing other things. So it's a perpetual wealth strategy. We're not focusing on one simple sliver of wealth. We're looking at the whole thing, and this gets to be a massive benefit now and in the future, and this will accommodate that. And it can also be used for heirs, of course, and that's why it's a death benefit. What a beautiful thing. So we've got some cash value growing. Again, it's kind of growing a little bit slow. It's 25-year-old. We're not contributing very much to it, and we'll take a look at that more in depth. But you can see here, even with a small contribution, your cash value is going to accumulate significantly. And there, look at that. By 25 years in here, the guy's 50 years old, and he's got $1 million in death benefit now to protect his family, rather than 500, which is about where he started, 528. So he's doubled his death benefit. Got cash value going crazy now, and a couple more years here when he might be looking to retire. Well, look at that. $6,700 a year, and at retirement he's got $769,000. First of all, how many places can you put $6,700 a year and have $770,000 in retirement? If this were possible, a lot more individuals who are coming into retirement now would be a lot better off, that have been putting away into 401ks and IRAs. There's something wrong with that system, and this looks a heck of a lot better. Not only that, but you got the next year down, you got $1.5 million in death benefit coverage, okay, in case something should happen. That alone, again, $6,700 a year throughout that time frame. It's not a whopping sum that you're socking away, and it can have a massive difference. Okay. Of course, we get out here to mortality age, somewhere in this neighborhood right here, and your death benefits somewhere in this neighborhood, and your cash values, it's grown significantly as well. Okay. So let's jump into something else here. Okay, well, let me back up just a little bit. Why do I care? If everybody can have this, why not? Why not? And how can I afford it? I mean, that's a question that comes up a lot. How can I afford it? $6,700 isn't a lot of money. Okay, not in the grand scheme of things. I mean, we're talking, when we switch back to this slide here and run those averages, talking about those averages here, that's the average debt service. That isn't the savings. That isn't paying down the debt. That is debt service. That is paying somebody else just so that I can have that debt. That's putting that money in somebody else's pocket and growing their wealth. So let's look at doing that for ourselves. Okay. Anyway, so I've got a little calculator here, a little worksheet here that I put together with some. Let's see if I can blow this up here. With some common debts, just some, simple credit cards. Got a couple of credit cards here. Grocery store here, gas station, the fun store, the fun guy store where you get tools and things like that. You know how it is. The flashlights thing. Back to the flashlights. We got a credit card here. We've got ABC Bank has car note B, and then Credit Union has car note A, and then the infamous student loans here. And what I did, I actually punched these in, and they were in order here, and then I clicked this thing to say, hey, I want to see the smallest balance first, because I'm going to be looking at a debt snowball. Debt snowball basically meaning you focus on one debt at a time. You get it paid off, and you move the payments that you were paying to that one onto the next one until that one's paid off, and you continue to roll that forward until your debts are paid off. You can see here the rates, and these are, these are pretty typical rates: 19, 20, 16, 18 for the credit cards. Drop down here, 3.5%, 4% for the cars, and then 6% for the student loan, and then minimum payments. I just grabbed these numbers out of the air. I know that I know that 35 is a lot of times a minimum balance or minimum payment on some of the lower balance ones, and got a $50, 100, 120, 125, and we got a couple of car payments here, and then student loan payments usually pretty stinking low, but they go out forever. And then in this particular case we have actual payments. So and this is pretty common for individuals to have the minimum payments and then actually making more. So on this one, the Kroger, this is a grocery store, so we want to pay a bigger chunk of that down because next month we're going to go charge it up again. Sinclair doing the same thing with the gas. Of course, we want to dump a little bit more on there because we're gonna do it again next month. Sears, well, that's just a fun store, and we got Christmas coming up. You know how that goes. So and then we're putting just a teeny bit, a little bit more. We want this car paid off a little bit faster, so we're putting a couple bucks more here. And then these last two, we're not putting any additional contributions in here. So we got these totals down here. And I told you this is going to come into play in that $6,700. Well, watch this. If we're paying $1,610 to all these payments per month, and our minimum payment or our actual payment is $1,025. We've got 1,025 here. There's our 585. That's how much we're paying extra. So I times that by 12. That gives us $7,000. So I'm going to take a little bit, or the majority of it. I'm going to take that 6,700, and we're gonna put that into our policy. Okay. And then we're gonna use a debt snowball here. So I've got the ability here to put in the values from the insurance policy. So there's our $6,700 going in. There's our so here's the age of the individual, cash surrender value. This cash value. This is what we're going to be utilizing, looking at today. Of course, there's our death benefit. There's our $528,702 that grows up, and what in 25 years we had a little over $1 million. So you can see there using all those numbers. And then we've got I've got it paying monthly here, so that we can see the cash value accrual as we go along here. And then here's our debt balances. Let's see our amortization tables. If we do not prepay these, but we didn't accrue any more interest, we'd have a lot of them paid off in the 31st month here. Well, let's see, 2 of them paid off in the 31st month And then another one paid off in the 35th, 37th, so on and so forth. We got a couple more down here in the 71st month. Now again, this is if we do not accrue any more payments, okay, to these cards. 79th month, so we're out past 7 years there. Excuse me, not past 7 years. We're just under 7 years there. 84 is 7 years. So we're 6.5 years or so there, and then the student loan, of course, that just keeps going. So if we didn't accrue any more on these cards, but we just and we stopped using the cards and said, hey, you know what? I'm gonna stop the madness. I'm gonna stop putting all this money into somebody else's pocket, and I'm gonna start paying myself first, and start socking away money into the perpetual wealth strategy, okay, and with the intent to utilize it. So again, just something to note here: how long it takes to get out of this debt if we're just paying it out regular. And to be honest, the credit card companies, it's no advantage to have you pay off your credit card. They make money when you continue to rack it up and continue to pay those the fees and the interest expense every month. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to upset the banking industry and the government, because these perpetual wealth strategies have a lot of tax advantages as well. And we're going to cut out the middlemen, and we're going to get the advantages here. So I'm going to start working on these debt balances, and we'll see how fast we can get them knocked out here. Okay. So all right. So we're going to use our cash value, and you can see our debt balances here in this column here. It's a little bit small. I'll blow that up. We use our debt balances here, and see when we can take our first loan from our policy. It looks like right here in month 4, we have enough. We got $1,000 in cash value, and that's where we're going to take our first loan. So I'm going to jump down here. Month 4, the balance is $783. Come over here, and I'm going to take a loan here for $783. Boom. Now you can see here the amount of money that we had been paying to that card, we are now just paying back to the policy. Okay, and you're going to see some cool stuff happening here. When we jump back over the amortization, you can see that credit card is gone. It's wiped out, and it's done in 4 months. Okay. Then we're going to jump over here to the next one, our Sinclair card, and we're going to see when we can wipe that out. You'll also notice over here the total payments to our debt. Once we wipe that out, and you'll continue to see this, the total payments to debt is going to be depleted until it's gone, and we're just making that payment, the same payment that we were to that card. So in this case, it's $35. We're going to make that now over to the insurance policy to pay that loan back. Okay, so we're borrowing against our policy. Okay, so let's see, 1,300, somewhere in that neighborhood. So I'm going to jump back over here. We've got 1,400 in month 8. Jump back over here, month 8, 14, 1426, 1416. I don't have enough there. I'm going to take it in month 9. Month 9, we've got 1416 in month 9. So I'm going to say 1416. I'm going to borrow from the policy. There again, now we're making just a little bit more of a loan repayment back to the policy, and poof, that second one's gone. It's wiped out. Okay, we're going to jump over here. We're going to take out Sears next, and you can see our cash value continues to build here because we're making our payment into the policy, and then we're also making this tiny little loan repayment back. But the majority of this cash value, the available loan balance, is coming from our contribution into our policy. Again, we're paying ourselves first. Okay. Let me jump over here. Let's see, we need about $2,000 here. We've got 2,000 right here in month 15. Okay, so month 15, 1981 is what we need. 115 minus 1981. Okay, so we're accruing a little more interest on, or a little higher payment back to the policy, and poof, another loan is repaid. Jump over here. The next one we need is 1600, somewhere in that neighborhood. Looks like we can. Let's see if we can do it here right at 19. So month 19, we've only got 13 there. Let's jump up a little bit. Let's see if we can do it in month 18. 18, we've got 1600 available. Month 18, let's do that. We've got 1491. So minus 1491. And it's gone. Let's see here. Next one, 4,000, 3,000, somewhere in there. How about this month 25? Month 25 here, 27. Yeah, we can do that. So we've got month 25, 2754 minus 2754, and it's gone. Don't know if you guys have seen that little spoof on South Park where the kid is putting his money in the bank, and the banker says, "Oh, let me just invest this here and here, and we're going to move it over here," and it's gone. Well, we're doing the same thing, but to debt rather than your money. Okay, we get 3,000, 2,000 over here somewhere. Let's see. Let's see if we can do it at month 27. Month 27, we have 34, 34.15. Nope, we can't. 28, 31, 31.01. Month 28, we can do it there. So minus 31.01. And drop this down again. And you can see that we just continue to pay our policy back here with the excess cash flow. Come over here and well, look at that. We've wiped out the 2 cars. We've wiped out all 4 credit cards, and we are now staring down the student loan here. Student loan, that's a pretty good size one. They want 20 some odd thousand for that. So let's do this. Let's just jump in here and let's say, hey, look, right here we've got $10,000 available. Let's take $10,000 and hit that right there. And then we build up another 10,000 in month 44. Let's see what month 44 is. 97.18. We can do it there. Month 44. Let's do that. So minus 97.18. Okay. So at that point right there, we have we're completely out of debt. You're done. Amortization tables, I mean, you're done in 44 months. Okay, let me come back over here to the debt balance here. So in 44 months, the debt is gone to any external, to any banking institution. You're debt free, other than a loan back to yourself at that point, because everybody else is paid off. Okay, at month 44 here, and then again, just redirecting the same money that you're already spending, and now you're paying that loan back off. Okay, anytime you pay something off, a credit card or a car, then you turn around and you pay your the policy loan back. So now we're completely out of debt. Oh, look at that! How ironic! Completely out of debt in 5 years. Now here's something that's kind of cool. Okay, so we've taken a few loans here. Let's see here. We've taken loans out here, here. Okay, so we've utilized the policy pretty well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times. in 44 months. So a little over 3.5 years. Completely out of consumer debt. Student loans, cars, credit cards, everything gone, done. And then completely out of debt back to yourself within 5 years, or in 5 years here. Okay? But look at this here. Available loan value, $24,820. So we went from $51,000 in debt, almost $52,000 in debt, to being completely debt-free and having $24,000 available in 5 years. Everything's paid off, debt-free, awesome. And you had protection on your family the whole time. Now we're gonna pop over to here. Okay, well here's the 5th year right here. There's your $24,000 of cash value. You've had protection for 5 years here. Your family's got $600,000 of death benefit available. Your cash surrender value, or your cash value that you can utilize for what? How about that boat now? We got out of debt. How about that boat? Well, borrow from your policy. Pay yourself back. Okay? And look how much money we did it with. $6,700 times 5. Okay? 6,700 times 5. Oops, not times 56, times 5. So we've utilized $33,500 over a 5-year period to completely wipe out your debt, to protect your family with over $500,000 of coverage, should something ever happen, and to give yourself $24,000 of cash value. Now again, those who I did that while being very conservative on how much we were actually putting into the paid up additions. Okay, so it's very possible, very possible. And then here's an added bonus. Do you remember this $1,025 that had been going to the minimum payments on the debt service? Well, guess what? It's freed up now. Totally freed up. It's not going to these credit cards anymore. That was pure debt service. Now that wasn't only the interest, because a lot of the principal was in there too, but you just freed up $1,000 in cash flow. What do you do with it? Well, give me a call. Let's put that into another policy, okay? No, seriously though, because if you can do this and it's successful, why would you want to keep doing it? Let's duplicate this. Let's build your wealth even more, okay? Anyway, so there's that. There's let's see. So yeah, you're doing it at the same time. Okay. So one thing that I really like, one phrase, it's a little catchphrase that I really like. Pay yourself first, pay yourself last. And I come full circle on this, because do you remember my Excel spreadsheet here? Pay yourself first. I have scheduled in here a portion of my monthly bills is paying myself, okay? And then pay myself last. I am borrowing against my own policy and paying myself back. So I'm paying myself first by putting money aside, and I'm paying myself last by cutting the middleman out of it and paying myself back the interest. Okay? So there's that. So let's okay. Let me just kind of. I'm just looking here at my cheat sheet here. It looks like I covered everything I wanted to. So I want to take a minute to thank you again for watching my presentation here about debt consolidation and the perpetual and grow and building wealth with utilizing the perpetual wealth strategy, and seeing how easy it is and how possible it is. And last but not least, of course, is please feel free to give us a call with any questions. Let me jump up here. Oh yeah, I remember this guy. So one of the most powerful things about this policy is the compounding of the interest, and that's why the cash values grow so significantly. Okay, and it's how we structure the policy that you have cash value immediately, and it's why the death benefit continues to grow at a very significant pace. So this guy right here, I don't know, I hear he's pretty smart. Anyway, he says compound interest is the eighth wonder of the world. He who understands it earns it. He who doesn't pays it. So this is a very, very true statement. And it's beautiful to see your money working on a compounded basis inside these perpetual wealth policies, and these life insurance policies, properly structured whole life insurance policies, rather than continuing to pay out money to somebody else. And then let's see. Get in touch with us. Give us a call, 1-800-870-8670 or www.paradigmlife.net. Let's flip the coin and take back control of your finances. And at the end of the day, who has your best interest in mind, you or the money managers? And then just one more, who is in control of your investment dollars? Who has ultimate control? Inside these perpetual wealth policies, I control everything that happens inside of my policy. Nobody else does. And I have full and complete access to it. Okay? Lastly, if the individual who has control of your investment dollars, do they practice what they preach? I can tell you very, very honestly, I absolutely do love and own multiple policies. So, look forward to talking to you guys, and thanks again for attending our client summit. Hopefully this was valuable for you. I always enjoy this. So, talk to you soon. Bye-bye.